I realize that some people may be trapped by daylight saving time this morning, but we will start 5 minutes late here this morning to try to accommodate some people. I'm expecting people to get here late. That's okay. Come a little off. The one constant we all have in life is change, and it sure is difficult, isn't it? So welcome to the Islamic Society of Leading American Muslims. As all of you know, an organization that was formed to conduct dawah, to invite people to learn about the true and peaceful message, and then to empower and educate those that come to the whether they were born in a certain time, whether they reverted, inverted, converted, whatever. However you're here, we're here to love you, to encourage you, to support you, and to nurture you in your walk with Allah. This week, I gave 3 lectures at Eastern Florida State College, and we gave out almost every single person that attended the 3 lectures took a Quran. I think only 3 in one class did not. So that's what we're doing. We are out there so that people learn the true and peaceful message. And I appreciate all of your support so that we can do that. I want to thank you in advance. Every time you put $1 in the box, it helps that we can do that, and that we can continue the work that I think is so important. I think that we have to do this because Islamophobia exists because of ignorance. If we do our work and we get out there and we tell people that murderers are murderers and not martyrs, that people that murder people in the name of Allah are nothing but more than murderers. They are not martyrs. Because they're not doing it for Allah, they're doing it for other agendas. This frees people. And this is our responsibility to teach the truth. So when we come away and people say, oh, so that's really the way it is. And the last presentation I made at St. Richard's Episcopal Church, I received 3 emails from one of the attendees there with continuous questions. And this is the beauty of what we're doing. We're able to continue to feed people. They hear one thing and they send me a question. They hear another thing and they send me a question. I get send them an answer on email and they have another question. This week I spoke to a brother who is Oriental, who is considering embracing Islam from Arlington, Virginia, who heard about me and called me he actually emailed me with 9 questions, Naran. I told Naran, tell him just email me his questions so that I can give him the proofs. So I called and I spoke to him, and inshallah, I think he will be becoming this way, inshallah. But it's a great honor and privilege to be able to share the true and peaceful message of Islam with people. And I do want you to know that we are very busy doing that. Sometimes busier than I think I can handle, but Allah always makes a way. While I'm here, if anyone has a reference in their library, I have an extensive library, and I cannot find an English or reference to the age in Sharia where someone can participate in war. The best information I have is based on purity and maturity. Or not purity, maturity and body strength. So basically, pretty much, if you've reached puberty and you can do it, that's sort of what the Sharia promotes. But if you have a proof, I'm trying to find a proof, and I have not been able to get something out of one of my books that can be quoted. So I just wanted to throw that out. You would have to have a library extensive enough in fiqh that would give the proofs of eligibility. For example, in the United States, if you want to sign up for the Army, you have to be 18 years of age. And between 18 and 25, you have to sign up for selective services. So what I'm trying to do is to find out what the ruling is according to the Sharia on that. But I need it in a scholarly form that can be quoted. And I've consulted 2 sheikhs, and they haven't been able to give me an English source. No. This is in order to fight.
Oh,
Yeah, no, well, that might be the same thing according to her. But, you know, in order to fight.
Why do you use that? Who wants to?
If someone's doing a scholarly paper and they saw mine, they see how honored, and I have not been able to do it. So I'm just throwing it out there. If anyone here happens to have anything in their library I don't have, I would appreciate it. And it needs to be done pretty quickly. So, like yesterday. Anyway, alhamdulillah, the potluck in March the 28th at 6 o'clock at St. Luke's. Please talk to me soon if you don't know about it. If you don't have an invitation, let us know who's coming and what you're bringing, because that really does help us plan. We try to stay away from sugary drinks and stuff like that, trying to be healthy, even though almost at every potluck we have more desserts than we have food. It's so funny to me. But anyway, alhamdulillah, whatever you bring, alhamdulillah, but we'd like to try to keep it healthy. I'm just planting a seed. We still collect these items for the organization. The empty ink and toner cartridge saved us $20 on this, for example, last week. We get a little refund check, and then we can go and buy office supplies for the office, and that saved us money on this. Our others had broken after how many years, Mason? All right, so alhamdulillah, we had the other one for I think 3 or 4 years, and it broke, and so now we have a new one. We've been talking about marriage, the principles of marriage according to Quran and Sunnah, and we're going to continue that because I feel like there's a great need for it. And inshallah, I want to tell you that there's a little box on the table over here. It's rather flowery and yellow. That is an FYI box. If you have a question, please put it on a piece of paper and put it in that box. Each Sunday, I will address those questions, inshallah. The following Sunday, I will answer your questions. So if you have a question, please feel free to put it there. If you have a question about the subject at hand, if I can answer it for you, I will. If not, write it down, and I'll give you the proofs from the Quran and the Sunnah. As you all know, that's my methodology. I don't just pull something off my cuff or give you an opinion. I always show you a verse and a hadith, if I can find it, based on my answer, where I'm getting my answer. And at the end, Allah knows best. So it's always, you know, the best I can do, but Allah knows best. So, can anybody tell me, last week I spoke about love maps. Can anybody tell me about that? I want to see if anybody's learning anything. What are they?
Love what?
Love maps.
Love maps. I don't remember the word love maps. I don't think so. You talk about.
I actually wrote it on the board.
You talk about the 4 cancers of.
Yeah, I talked about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which are the 4 cancers in a marriage. And then I also talked about change.
Yeah.
And we wrote a whole bunch of things. And we actually have done similar lessons twice. Does anybody remember?
I don't remember.
There was a lot of it. They don't have to talk to each other rudely, and they have to, husband and wife, and husband speaks, they have upper hand.
And what's the minimum amount of time that you're supposed to spend every day together?
20 minutes.
According to Nasser,
Minimum time they don't spend together, and the things are like that.
yes, brother.
I know you always talk about marriage, regardless. Even it may like whenever you're talking about different subjects, there's something inside that subject that does relate back to marriage. So I know it's always, like in every lecture, you kind of always mention marriage in some way, you know.
It's interesting that Ibrahim says that because in the Khutbah al-Hajj, which I think is phenomenal, marriage is mentioned. In the Khutbah of necessity that is read at the beginning, except today I didn't do it. Interestingly enough, I didn't do it.
No.
That's weird. I've never not done that. But there are verses about marriage in the Khutbah al-Hajj. So Allah reminds us of the importance of marriage at the beginning. Well, the Prophet Muhammad reminded us of the importance of marriage at the beginning of every single sermon he gave. So I want to talk about this love maps again before I move into the lecture. This is theory, and then I'll give it to you from the Quran. This is really, really important. Love maps measure the amount of cognitive room that we have in our brain for our partner. Okay? And I will give you the Quran for this in a minute, but I just want you to listen to theory for a moment. So for example, remember the example I gave last week about Tina and Bassem and the pink dress? The pink dress obviously was for Tina. Just to keep it on.
Thanks for clarifying, right?
Yeah. I don't want anybody to get any strange visuals. And it's what you know about each other's psychological world. Well, what is the word psyche in Islam?
What?
The word for psyche is what?
Feelings. No?
Nafs. Nafs. Psyche, soul. So what is psychology? The study of the soul. So Islam is the study of the soul. Because we go from nafs amara, nafs lawama to nafs mutmainna. So I want you to see how all of this marries at a very deep level. And if I throw you off, ask questions. Okay? So we go from an unconscious soul to a soul that's conscious to a soul that's at peace. Whenever we obey everything that we know, that's called integrity. When we don't, in the world of psychology, it's called cognitive dissonance. It means that I say, well, I really don't think you should smoke, but I smoke a pack a day. That's called cognitive dissonance. I'm not following what I believe. There's a contradiction in my behavior and what I believe. When our behavior is in alignment with the beliefs of the Holy Quran, then we actually get to nafs mutmainna, because we are in consistent integrity. Does that make sense? Yes, sister.
Could you translate nafs mutmainna for everyone?
Yes, I will. Nafs mutmainna is the soul that is at peace. That's what it is. The soul that is at tranquility. So the nafs amara is the unconscious soul, the uneasy soul. The nafs lawama is the soul that is aware of sin, and when it commits sin, it repents and amends. It obeys. It's that sort of self-reproaching soul that you're on a path and you get this feeling that you shouldn't do something and you listen to it. Because that feeling oftentimes is a subconscious message from the Quran or the Sunnah. And when you obey it, you feel what? Peace. You experience your Islam when you practice it. You don't experience your Islam when you don't practice it. You, as a matter of fact, you experience angst or anxiety, right? And guilt. How many people here like guilt? Now, I don't mean like to give guilt trip. I mean like guilt. Yahamakallah, Yahamakallah. Yahamakallah. Yes. So how many people here like guilt? How many people would like for somebody to walk up to you and say, well, you know, you really should have come to the class last week? How does that make you feel?
Bad.
Bad. Guilty. Yeah. All shoulds that are not based on the Quran and the Sunnah become prisons of our mind. And they make us feel uncomfortable. Does anybody feel at peace when somebody's doing a guilt trip on you? No. So let's talk about these love maps for a minute. I might have gone on a little bit of what do you call it? Tangent. Thank you. Appreciate that. But understanding your partner's psychological world, you actually have to create room in your mind to understand your partner's world. Now, the verse in the Holy Quran that says that we are to get to know each other, to identify each other, is a verse that refers to marriage. Many people that I meet in my office as a marriage and family therapist do not know their spouses. They have even lived with them for 10, 12, 15, 20 years. I've even known people that live together longer and they actually don't know each other. They have not learned what stresses each other. And what's even sadder is they don't even seem to really care. And this is a problem because what is the mandate from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the men in our religion?
To take care of their wives mentally,
Is the shepherd.
emotionally.
Now, I want to point something out because it's really, really important. How many people here have had multiple cats or multiple dogs?
I have.
Okay, now, anybody that's had multiple cats or dogs, did you ever have 2 cats or 2 dogs that were alike? That had the same personality? You got to be kidding.
No.
I'm totally with you. I just wanted to... Exactly. So if animals do not have the same nature, and we are to be the shepherds of our household, do you think that any of your children will have the same nature? We have 4, and they are as different, each of them, as night and day. They are different in every way imaginable. So when a child plays a guilt trip on you and says, well, you didn't do that to, and say I'll use my own children's name, you didn't do that to Bilal, or you didn't do that to Nasiha, or you didn't do that to Camila, I said, but are you them? Because as a shepherd, you have got to attend to each one according to who they are. And as a shepherd, you've got to have a cognitive understanding of who they are and how they operate. And since they don't operate the same, can you treat them the same effectively? No. But they would like you because they've got to remember the children's frontal lobes are not developed until 22 and 25. They would like you to think that you're supposed to treat them all the same,
No.
particularly when it's to their advantage.
Of course.
But you, being the shepherd, have to have hikmah. You have to have wisdom. You have to understand that that doesn't work with that child. You see, I had one child that I could sort of look at disapprovingly, and she would start crying. And start praying, actually. Literally, and I mean, I never spanked my kids. I never did any kind of corporal punishment with my kids. Didn't happen in my house. But because she wanted so much to get our approval, all I had to do was like, and she would start crying and then go pray. The other one, if I looked at that, they would do something else to upset me. Yeah. So, I want you to get this, and I want to talk about this a little bit, because I do think it's important for us to look at the wisdom behind what Allah has prescribed. How many people agree with that? Alhamdulillah. Okay. Now, how many recognize that that is a continual download? Yeah. Because when your child goes from, for example, 4th grade to 5th grade, how many people have had that experience, 4th to 5th grade? Is that a quantum leap or what?
No, 56.
And you think 56 is more of a quantum?
Not first and second.
Well, it used to be 5th grade was a huge experience, according anyway to the world of psychology. So you think 6th grade. All right?
Well, elementary and middle is
Right.
huge.
Yeah.
5th to 6th, yeah.
I mean, it's like a shift in personality. How many people had daughters that the day that they became women, the next morning they were like a different human being? Oh, just how many people again? We're the only ones? And it's because you guys haven't had daughters that age yet, right?
No.
Let me ask this. How many people in here, when you went through puberty, male or female, found yourself quite a different human being? Very good. All right, so that constant download, you think that it's that important for the family environment, how much more so is it for a husband and a wife?
Oh my gosh, very, very.
What do you think a husband goes through when certain mother-in-laws are coming into town?
Lord have mercy.
And vice versa.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say that.
So anything I say, it works both ways. What do you think happens if you're married to someone and they're in school and it's exam period? It's exam time. You think that your cognitive understanding of them needs to shift and understand what they're going through right now? Or do you think you should just think about yourself?
Help them.
What was that, brother?
I say you need to help them.
You need to help them. You need to be a shepherd to them. Okay. Now, I want to say that if you look at fit, and we're going to talk about this in more detail, when people are not married yet, what you want to know is about a person's family of origin. How did your family celebrate stuff? What did your family celebrate? And I'm going to give you some very typical, fundamental, therapeutic examples. The majority of first-generation Indo-Pacs that I know do not celebrate birthdays. It's not important to them. Now, let's say that you are an American revert and you are marrying into an Indo-Pac family. And your mom and dad, every year of your life, gave you a weenie roast or hamburgers on the grill. And you invited 15 kids over and they celebrated your birthday. You never discussed this before marriage. And so you get married and you say, oh, what are we going to plan? What kind of party are we going to plan for little Zacchaeus for his birthday? Astaghfirullah, it's haram to celebrate birthdays. Has anybody ever heard of anything like this? Or
Oh, yes.
Because I'm getting some funny feedback from my class today. The body language is like, where is he going today?
I don't know. I don't think my parents ever did that. We used to celebrate birthdays all the time.
Yes. But how many people in here know about what I'm talking about? Raise your hands high so people can see. All right. So how important do you think it would be before you got married to say, so let me ask you something, sir. What do you believe about birthdays?
That's birthday.
It's important, right?
Yeah.
What about how did your parents let you know that they were proud of you?
Celebrating.
Celebrating. How? You went out to dinner or what?
No, we will have a big crowd for our children, my child, and I took them to the big restaurant, Johnson or something, and I always celebrated very good. And I told him to come, there were 40 kids there, always.
Now, does anybody ever know people that don't celebrate anything? I can probably count the times I went to a restaurant growing up as a kid on my hands. So, do you see how family of origin affects the cognitive map of each individual person? What happens when people get together is they're enamored with each other. So they look at each other and they just stare into each other's eyes and they say, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah. And their mind goes out the window. And this is why the wisdom of a wali, this is why it is so important for people to have premarital education, counseling, therapy, whatever you want to call it. You name it, you can call it whatever you want to, however it's palatable for you. but it needs to be done. You know, and particularly in a religion where there are still a lot of arranged marriages. Two people coming together, they don't have a clue about each other. Don't know anything about the background of this person. Yesterday, I went to Tampa and to see someone who just got married. Here is a lady from, I'm serious, like a Bedouin kind of family in Morocco, marrying a man that was 18 years older, 16 years older, who is educated in America.
Originally Jordanian.
Originally Jordanian. And I was sitting there as a marriage therapist thinking, wow, this is a field day. How will they navigate through this?
Cannot speak a word of English.
The girl can't speak a word of English. Not one. Not even hello.
How old is the man?
48.
48 and 32, right? 32 and never married. So, I'm sharing this theoretical stuff that I've learned, and I really believe that it is in alignment and harmony with the principles of Islam. And I think it's so important, particularly when I'm seeing the divorce rate soar in the Muslim community. So a knowledge of one's partner's family of origin, what were their rituals of connection? See, one of the most important questions I want to know, if I was single and had never been married and was wanting to marry somebody, is tell me about your family. How did it operate? What did you celebrate? What was important in your family? What wasn't important? Well, let me tell you what was important in mine and what I want in the family that we might create. So in my work with people, I actually have them commit to building rituals of emotional connection. They actually come to it. It's part of an agreement that this is how we will do this in advance. Because let me ask you something, folks. Is it easier to negotiate before marriage or after the fact?
Before.
And that's the voices of experience. The next question I would ask if I was a suitor is I want to know the biggest injuries that you have ever sustained in life. How did you cope with them? How have they affected your life today? What decisions did you make about them? And how do you think they would affect our relationship? Yeah. But let me ask you, if they don't tell you, what does that tell you?
That's something to hide.
They're hiding something.
How do you know if they're lying? People lie.
Well, when I talk to people and they start doing this, now we've got a lawyer in the room. What are some of the signs of people when they lie, brother?
They don't make eye contact.
They don't make eye contact, they start doing their eyes, and they start scratching their nose. Get on Google and say, what are the signs of lying?
But there are people that
She
have
says just watch
told themselves what they believe it is, and so much so to the point where it is a lie, but they believe it's the truth. I mean, you don't actually, you're never going to know someone until you live with them, and even then, I don't even know if you still know them.
Well, I disagree with you, but I respect your opinion. I think as a therapist, if you have a person who is skilled, they know how to pull out the real person. I mean, it's just what they're trained to do. But there'll always be exceptions. I'm trying to put some principles out here so that you can teach your young people, and if there are people here that are going to be in that area or that arena, they will have something to go on. But let me ask you, what is a more important conversation to have? Tell me about your family of origin. Tell me about the things you've been through, how you handled it, and how you would handle it different today. Or, you are the prettiest thing I have ever seen in my life. And I just know that Allah has put you in my path. I just know it. I can feel it.
That's the line you use.
Yes, that is one of the lines I read to my wife.
What did you say?
And she said, and I believe. But we've learned a lot in 30 years. And so what I'm trying to do is teach you what I've learned. And I love the feedback on this, because I do notice a lot of uncomfortable body language today. Or is that just me?
No, it's not just you, since nobody says
Yeah.
it.
You know one thing? When you lie in front of your children, they are the ones they will tell in the whole public, no, daddy, you are lying. It was not like that. It was like this. My son used to do my husband. And he told me, don't talk in front of him anymore. He told in the public I was lying.
Yes. Yeah, out of the mouths of babes. Now, another important question that I have is, what is your mission statement in life? You want to learn something about somebody? Ask them, what are your goals? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't know.
I just said I'll see myself
Yeah, my wife said, I'll see myself with you. So, up to the line. But you see, later on we talk about individual dreams as well as the dreams of a couple. And Islam provides for that because you have your individual identity, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Islam preserves that. So wouldn't it be interesting? I mean, what if, can I use you, Bassam and Tina? Bassam is seeking Tina's to marry. We all know they're already married, so this is hypothetical, okay? And Bassam says, so Tina, what are your future goals? And she said, I want to do my PhD. And he says, my wife ain't doing no PhD because I don't believe women should be educated.
Bye.
She's going to say, well, Bassam, you don't have any gas.
Later.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? How important is this stuff, folks? But is this what we're doing? No. And the people that are the walis go around bragging, I was their wali. So what did you do for them? That's my question. This is what I say to people when they come to me and say I'm their wali. I say, well, what did you do for them? You know that, because you'll never know these people that got married that I went to see yesterday, you know what the family told the girl? There will be no contract. That marriage is not based on the Sunnah. That marriage is not based on Islam. And it's because of ignorance.
The girl's family.
The girl's father, who is considered a very religious man.
Why would he do that? How does that benefit the
I can't answer that question. What I'm telling you is that this happens all the time. I was actually providing marital education for two people that both have doctoral degrees. And the father of the girl said, my daughter will not sign a contract. This was in Orlando, folks. This is ignorance. And so why do you think I'm teaching this? Because I see more and more. Ignorance is growing like a cancer here. Yes, Dr.
Why would he not want his daughter to sign a contract?
Because he doesn't want to be responsible for her, apparently. Because before Allah, on the day of judgment, he's going to have to answer.
It's a cultural thing, I believe, for them, right? Was it a cultural thing?
I don't know, sister. It doesn't matter about the culture.
He didn't agree with the marriage? He wasn't...
Oh, no. He supported the marriage, but he didn't say that. He said there's no need for a contract.
They don't make sense.
Sorry, which contract are we talking about?
We're talking about the marital contract. There is no marriage in Islam without a contract.
So
That's
it's-
actually
okay.
what gives you permission. If you remember me saying this before, that's actually what gives you permission to consummate the marriage.
You're talking about the nikah, then the permissible intercourse.
Yes.
Okay. I
You're
thought you were talking, I didn't know which contract you were talking about, like state or the Islamic contract.
Well, you can't get married in the United States of America. If you're a Muslim, you've got to abide by the laws of the land. Can you get married in this country without a civil certificate?
No.
No. Because how will you preserve your women's rights? You see, if somebody comes to me and says, I want you to be my wali, but I'm not going to get married and civilly here in this country, then I can't be their wali. How can I look after you when you're not going to preserve your rights? So you get married, a year down the road, your husband drops dead, and he's got $1 million life insurance policy, you're not going to get anything.
But Imam Sykes, if you come into the country with already married, you have to go and.
If you come into the country married, you marry here, so it's different, no. Because we for years have had people migrating and stuff. I mean, but if I'm talking about how do we want to do it if you're doing it now? And I'm very passionate about this. And I just see so much ignorance, it breaks my heart. It just so sad that Allah prescribed this absolutely beautiful manner and we want to discard it. And the hadith said that there would be a day that we would make halal what Allah had made haram and make haram what Allah had made halal. Allah said there should be a contract and nobody wants to do one. Allah said that the way it should be done is we should have a courtship and then we should get married and then we should celebrate the marriage. Now everybody says, no, we're going to do it this way. We're going to do it our way. And Allah gave us the best of ways. So how important do you think it would be to know your partner's mission?
Very.
Very.